is Benjamin Okeze Kalu, representing the good people of Bende Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. Arise.
From the hallowed chambers, his voice resonates crystal clear.
You say you shared money recently, and I represent the constituency, and there are 360 of us, and all of them are saying we are not feeling the impact.
He's the unmistaken voice of Undi Bende and the image maker of the House of Representatives.
Swept away houses and roads in communities like Mpa, Umimenyi, Uzita, and Bende. Mr. Speaker,
he's a committed, courageous, articulate, and deeply impassioned lawmaker with the plight of his constituents.
Joining me now on the political segment is Honorable Benjamin Kalu, who's the spokesman of the House of Representatives.
Ben KALU'S mandate gives you first-hand information on the activities of the member representing the good people of Bende Federal Constituency at the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, as well as his position on national issues. Ben KALU'S mandate airs on Flow 94.9 FM, Vision Africa 104.1 FM, and Real 99.1 FM every Tuesday by 10:30 a.m. Ben KALU'S mandate, gains of quality representation. Yes, it's another edition of the program Ben KALU'S mandate on radio. Of course, we're live on several radio stations in the state: Flow 94.9 FM, Vision Africa Radio 104.1 FM, Real 99.1 FM, and of course, Flow 94.9 FM and Love 99.9 FM. Thank you very much for joining us. It is the last edition of the program for the month of June 2021. My name is Michael Oni, and this is where we highlight the activities of the member representing the good people of Bende Federal Constituency. Of course, the representative of that federal constituency is the spokesperson of the House of Representatives. He's the chairman of the Media and Publicity Committee of the House of Representatives, Representative Benjamin Okeze Kalu, and he's joining us live virtually, of course, on this program, the last edition for the month. Glad to have you join us. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Michael, for having me today. And Bende people and Abia people, always a delight to be here. Fortunately, I've not been here for about 2 to 3 weeks, but I'm glad to be back. It promises to be a very interactive section today, so tune in, relax, let's have a chat.
Interesting. Now let's begin from the National Assembly, your office. Unfortunately, shortly after the rain started last week Tuesday morning, the roof of the National Assembly began to leak, a sight which left many astonished. It was the main lobby of the legislative complex, between both chambers, that had water dripping from the roof to other parts of the building. The press center where journalists sit to monitor plenary was also affected, and although the situation did not stop the lawmakers from proceeding with plenary, even as the cleaners battled to get rid of the water. But that sight was a big embarrassment to the nation, and many persons are asking, and Nigerians are asking questions. Despite the millions or the billions of naira earmarked for maintenance every year, what went wrong?
Yeah, thank you, Mike, for raising this issue. There's been a lot of misunderstanding, misinterpretation, misinformation out there about what really happened with this renovation of this iconic building. Nigerians ought to know that this particular property is managed by the FCDA. It's not under the management of the National Assembly. Therefore, the 37 billion that everybody talks about was amount we approved for FCDA to use in, rebuilding, renovating this particular iconic building. Did they get the entire 37 billion? The answer is no. They decided to do it in phases. So because of COVID and scarcity of fund, what was approved for them was 9 billion. Now you know that our procurement process in Nigeria takes time. It's not just what you just do the budget and the next minute you are starting the construction. Many people don't understand that once you interpret the needs into the budget, you need to also go the whole 9 yards of procurement process, which takes about a quarter of a year, 3 months, or more than that for it to be approved through the procurement process. So this is what is holding the FCDA from going on with what we have allocated for them, appropriated for them. Many have asked the question about how big is this amount of money for a renovation. I have been the person that raised the call that the condition of this iconic building was in a very bad shape. When I left my personal office to join the National Assembly, and I found out that my personal office was better equipped, in a better condition than what I met. The National Assembly raised the alarm, and that the toilets were not working, the air conditioners were not working, the telephones are not working. And I've raised this call for over 1 year plus. As I speak to you, the telephone in my office is still not working. As I speak to you, I changed 3 offices because of the stinking odor coming out from the toilets shared on the corridors. That calls for maintenance. If we invite people for public hearing, you will agree with me, some of them will go home to go and ease themselves and come back and join us because they cannot use some of the toilets there. This is reality. And someone will say, fix the property. It was a good call. And this rain that came only justified our call that something needed to be done. And if we don't do anything, if Nigerians keep playing politics with it, the building will collapse. The center of the building will go down if we do nothing about it. So, Nigerians like playing politics with everything. The truth remains that this is the only arm of government that is housed in one building. Mention the Ministry of, mention the Judiciary, and I will tell you how many federal high courts that we have scattered the whole country and paid for by government. I will tell you how many courts, how many residential buildings everywhere for the judges, and I'll mention the executive, and I'll tell you how many ministries that is housed in various accommodations across the nation. This is the only arm of government that is housed, an arm of government that is at the federal level that is housed only in one building. And that building that is taking care of 360 people, 360 constituencies should be taken care of.
Okay, another question here. You've been lamenting, of course, complaining about the deteriorating situation of that complex. Many Nigerians will want to know, monies were being earmarked, of course, allocated for renovation or maintenance every year in the budget. And as much as 39 billion naira was asked, of course, for maintenance the last time, which generated a lot of reactions from Nigerians. Many people are asking, is it that renovations have not been taking place in the National Assembly before that national embarrassment last week, Tuesday?
If the renovation had been going on, we would not have had what we had. So I think they should direct that question to the executive, the FCDA. Why we're staying in that properties, that we are the legislative arm for the FCDA. And the Federal Capital Territory doesn't have the legislative arm. We legislate for the federal government, and we legislate also for the Federal Capital Territory. So that question should be addressed to the FCDA. I've mentioned those who are managing that property, and such questions should go to them.
All right.
But as those who are using the property, I can assure you there's a lot that needs to be done in that property.
Okay, let's move on to some other issues right now on Ben KALU'S mandate, where we highlight the activities of the member representing the good people of Bende Federal Constituency. And he's also the spokesperson of the House. And of course, he can address issues as far as the House of Representatives is concerned, which means the official position of the House. Now, let's talk about Twitter ban. The last time on the edition, when we had you on this program, you said you cannot take a stand now until the House reaches a decision on the issue of Twitter ban in the country. That led to a session on the House where the Minister of Information was summoned by the committee and the back and forth. Can you bring us up to speed? What is the latest? Because Nigerians want to be back on Twitter.
Yeah, the truth remains that the freedom of expression is a constitutional right, which, as members of the parliament, we cannot compromise. We must seek to protect at all times. On the other side is the desire of Nigerians to use every social media platform to express themselves. Call the government out, and also handle a few businesses that can only thrive through e-commerce. And we are not alienated from the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As I always say, though we are three arms of government, we are one government. So when something happens in government, we do not exonerate ourselves and say we are not involved.
Okay.
Yes, the executive took a stand and suspended Twitter. And our job as those who do the watchdog function extends to getting reasons why that was done. And in this case, from both sides, from the Twitter side, on the allegation of the federal government with regards to security, and on the government side, as the executive, on whether their directive was not overreaching, whether it was within the parameters, the confines of the mandates of their offices. And to do that, we took a position. The last time I interacted with you was the day it was going to come up.
Okay.
Before the parliament, and I didn't want to preempt it, but I already knew what was going to happen. And that was what happened. The speaker, in his wisdom, tried to save the discussion on the Twitter. He saved the discussion because the opposition party had already gone to the markets 2 or 3 days before the reconvening of the House to discuss how they are going to cause a problem in the House if the matter was not brought up. So in the wisdom of the leadership of the House, they decided to, yes, bring up the matter, but in a different way, because if they had brought it up the way the opposition wanted it, opposition would have lost that discussion. I say so because the majority were already ready to have the needs higher than the eyes from the opposition. And if that happens, it will be given a decent burial. Therefore, the issue will not be discussed unless they resign the decision. And since it was a topical issue that the Speaker wanted the Parliament to play a role in resolving through our legislative intervention, a joint committee was immediately set up. Committee on Justice, which I'm part of, Committee on National Security and Intelligence, which I'm part of, and Committee on Information. We'll be able to look at what happened. And this committee have started working, and they were given 10 days to report back to the House. They have interacted with the Ministry of Information, I'm sure, so they have gone ahead to discuss with the Twitter angle. If not, I'm sure one of these days they will do that, and then they, present their report. So many expected us to open it to, rowdy debates. What would that debate achieve? A resolution. That resolution will go back to investigative, ad hoc committee being set up. This is exactly what the Speaker did. He saved us the time. He prioritized on other issues and made sure that we didn't waste the time of the Parliament. It didn't go down well with some Nigerians who had expected, the Speaker to act in a particular way. But in the face of the circumstances we found ourselves, the leadership of the House acted in the best interest of democracy and freedom of expression. And I can assure you, the input of the Parliament will now be more valuable to Nigerians. Did we foreclose on those who wanted to express their opinion with regards to...
I was going to take you on that because Representative Kingsley Chida walked out of plenary during that session. and he wasn't so happy because the speaker ruled him out, and he walked out with some members of the parliament, members of the House of Representatives during that session. I don't know what will be your reaction to that.
Walking out in Parliament, this is not the first time it's happened, but he didn't walk out with the holding position. He walked out with about 6 members who were sympathetic to his call. But to see sentiment apart, when the issue has been addressed by the leadership of the House and the gavel has gone down on it, waking it up amounts to, bringing an issue to appear on it means being superfluous on it. It's like overflogging the matter. It's already a dead horse, so why flog it? So the speaker said, no, we have limited time to deliberate on issues during plenary. Let's not waste our time on this one that has been decided. We should leave it, and that was the best decision that he gave. So the speaker himself has walked out severally when he was in the opposition, so it's expected. You can always show it's democracy. But for the interest of Nigerians, was the decision of the speaker the best? Yes, it was, because opportunity have been given to those who felt that they were not given hearing to make their presentation before the committee, and the committee is receiving the opinion of anybody who wants to express themselves. Outside entertaining Nigerians or putting up a show, I wonder how many of them that has gone to the committee to express themselves will be getting the leads out. If they didn't go to the committee to express themselves, it means that they just wanted to entertain Nigerians. And that is not what Nigerians are looking for. We're looking for solutions.
So after this committee level, what next? Minister of Information already appeared. It was in the news. And what next after this level?
Well, the way the parliament works is that the reports of the committee will always come to the committee of the whole. Their resolution, they will lay it before the House and it will be referred to the committee of the whole. The committee of the whole will go through the resolution clause by clause and make sure and agree on it and drop what they have to drop. And then the resolution will be communicated to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right. So let's move on now to some other issues. We all understand that petroleum has been a major part of our country's history, especially its role to provide the much needed resources for governance to operate at all levels. And of course, I'm talking about the issue of the Petroleum Industry Bill. It has been in the House since December 2008. That was the first time that bill was introduced into the National Assembly, and it has not been passed into law, majorly because everyone wants his interests to be appropriately captured. Can you bring us up to speed on that?
Yes. Energy transition is real. There is a movement, a shift from fossil fuel to alternative sources of energy. And what the impact of that is that the price of fossil fuel will be less than what it is at the moment when people embrace other alternative sources of energy. Therefore, the window for this to happen is about 15 years to 20 years. We must act fast to make sure that we put instruments in place, a good legal framework that will make us more competitive as a nation, considering the fact that most African nations have found oil and gas. Therefore, the IOCs will always go to where they will make more ROI, that is return on investment.
Okay.
So if our environment, the ecosystem, whether the legal environment, the tax environment, and all the rest of them is not conducive, they are going to, and it's impacting on their profit, they will leave us. They will use the little time they have within this window period to explore opportunities in various other countries. They are finding problems with what we have as our legal instruments around the sector. And that is why we need to quicken it. As you know, before now it was a private-sponsored bill, but now it is the state-sponsored bill. So the state is interested in making sure that this is out of the way to enable us, benefit, well from what is left of oil and gas. You will recall that recently, Total company that was fully a fossil fuel company has diversified. They actually want to come into Nigeria now with about $70 billion that will be spent over a period of 10 years. Now, as they are pulling their fund out of oil and gas, they are putting it in alternative sources of energy. This is the reason why we have to speed up this. But in speeding it up, there are certain things that must be put in place to enable us create a win-win platform, both for the host country as well as the IOCs. And now, in doing that, we also have to consider the host communities, the interest of the host communities, and the interest of what is called the frontier states. The host communities are the communities that have been where oil exploration has been going on for quite some time now, and that they have suffered some degradation, environmental degradation. They are saying that what is being given to them is not enough. They have to take it up. Then you have the frontier state that is saying you are coming to explore oil. In our various places, we have oil. We need money. We need more money to be able to get the job done there. Allocate more money so that the frontier states will have more money to explore the resources they have there. So that is competing. And whether to reduce the money that the host communities are asking for and increase the one that the frontier states are asking for, or to leave it as it is. So that brings in the interest of who falls under the frontier states and who falls under the host states. And there's a little bit of, a fight.
Okay.
Who wins the day. But we have always maintained that we should fight for the interests of Nigeria beyond the interests of any region. That is what we are here as legislators to do, without fear or favor, affection or ill will, making sure that sectionalism, regionalism, ethnicity, religion, they don't play a role in ensuring that we make laws that will outlive us and that is for the interest of nation building. Therefore, today the Speaker will be sitting with the members of the committee to discuss about this PIB. Unfortunately, I may not be attending that meeting because I have other engagement outside the FCT, still in the same sector. So that is how far we have gone.
So
and,
how soon Nigerians are in high expectations for this bill. So how soon will the PIB, the Petroleum Industry Bill, be passed into law by the by the National Assembly?
Every effort is in place. The body language of the leadership of the House, the commitment of the leadership of the House, the commitment of the ad hoc committee, both from the Senate and the House of Rep, is that we want to get it out of the way before our annual vacation, which will be in a couple of weeks. So Nigerians should, support us by also encouraging their various representatives who are members of the committee to support the passage of this particular piece of legislation for the interest of the whole country in the next few weeks. So we are committed to it, and we are walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Okay, quickly.
This time around, this bill is going to be passed.
Quickly, before we go for the break, I want you to bring us up to speed. I understand that the political officer of the United States mission in Nigeria paid you a visit and commended the work you've done in the past 2 years, which we highlighted 2 editions on this program. For 2 editions that you've been away, we had people calling to talk about some of those projects that you've attracted and Bende federal constituency, of course, and of course last edition also. So for people to call and tell us if truly some of those projects are mentioned by you, and they also commended. So bring us up to speed on that. Then we go for the break and we enter politics proper.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank all the people who called in when I was away and from my birthday. Uh, so many beautiful greetings on my birthday, and also my second year in office. Even though I was not around, and even though I wanted my birthday low-key, Abian celebrated me, and I really appreciate you for doing that. And I love you all for doing that. And I pray that celebration will not leave your families in the name of Jesus. I'm also thankful to those who celebrated me during the second year in office with all the things we have done. It is good not to be the one speaking all the time. It's good once in a while to allow the constituents to interact. Like this program is going to be open so that valuable constituents who may not necessarily be politicians can share 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to discuss issues that will help our constituency go forward. So I think very soon we'll be having one of the experts in economics who will be discussing issues that borders on palm oil and the need for us to plant more and all that. So we'll open up this place. Yeah, on this question you asked about the visitation of the U.S. mission, yeah, I was visited by Jerry Howard, who is the political officer. In fact, he's the head of politics, anything politics at the U.S. mission. He paid me a visit and had an interaction with the members of my staff, and we had a good time discussing ways to strengthen our democracy, and we exchanged some ideas. He picks some things from us, we picked something from him, and he commended the work of the National Assembly and how well this Ninth Assembly has pushed through bills and motion on relevant topical issues, and also celebrated my committee under my leadership on how we have tried through sectorial engagement and through various levels of public engagement to let the public feel the impact of a more transparent legislative outing than the opaqueness that had previously existed within the actions and the performance, the activities of the National Assembly. We opened it up and we unbundled it, and that is actually my interest, to make sure that we are accessible to the people. Like you have me on this program on a weekly basis. Nobody says, I'm looking for him, I cannot see him. Ask me all the questions you want to ask me. Ask me what you feel that I've not done right. Praise me the ones I've done right. And that is what they appreciate, because most of these are development partners are monitoring what we are doing in our efforts to strengthen our democracy. So I really also commend him. Jerry Howard is a very hardworking United States citizen who is working here in Nigeria, who is actually determined, dedicated, committed to making sure that we toe the right, lane in, sharing knowledge about how to advance our democracy. So he appreciated what I've also achieved in my constituency for 2 years, and he considered it laudable, and he put in some good, kind words, and we really appreciate, on behalf of Ben, the people, we appreciate his visit. And we also discussed Ben, how we can use various instruments to help the constituency, and even if it is outside government, how the NGOs can come in to Macedonia, come over to Macedonia and help us. So that was it. It was a very good interaction. I know it's not the first time we are interacting with development partners. It's always the wisdom of the house to engage development partners. The European Union has visited me some time ago, and we had a good chat. And most of the time they come in because I head the public affairs. I engage with some of those people to be able to know what is the best practices out there and how we can adopt it in the course of serving Nigerians.
All right, it is still Ben KALU'S mandate. Of course, we've been speaking with the member representing the good people of Ben, the federal constituency. Of course, the spokesperson of the House of Representatives, Representative Benjamin Okezie Kalu, on Ben KALU'S mandate. The weekly engagement of the representative, of course, where he highlights his activities for the good people of Abia State, of course, not only Bende, and of course for Nigerians, because we're live online and offline also. You can catch this conversation on the internet anytime, any day. But we take a break now. When we return, we talk about some projects and also talk about the fresh rumbles as far as 2023 is concerned in Abia State. It is Ben KALU'S mandate.
Is Benjamin Okeze Kalu, representing the good people of Bende Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. Arise.
From the hallowed chambers, his voice resonates crystal clear.
You say you shared money recently, and I represent the constituency, and there are 360 of us, and all of them are saying we are not feeling the impact.
He's the unmistaken voice of Undi Bende and the image maker of the House of Representatives.
Swept away houses and roads in communities like Mpa, Umimenyi, Ozita, and Bende. Mr. Speaker,
he's a committed, courageous, articulate, and deeply impassioned lawmaker with the plight of his constituents.
Joining me now on the political segment is Honorable Benjamin Kalu, who's the spokesman of the House of Representatives.
Ben KALU'S mandate gives you first-hand information on the activities of the member representing the good people of Bende Federal Constituency at the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, as well as his position on national issues. Ben KALU'S mandate airs on Flow 94.9 FM, Vision Africa 104.1 FM, and Real 99.1 FM every Tuesday by 10:30 a.m. Ben KALU'S mandate, gains of quality representation. Yes, thank you very much for staying tuned. It is still the last edition of the program for the month of June 2021, Ben KALU'S mandate, and we've been speaking to the representative of Bende Federal Constituency at the House of at the National Assembly. That's the House of Representatives. Now let's quickly talk politics right now. 2023 general election is still over a year away, but political atmosphere in Abia State has become intriguing. This is primarily maybe because of the underground moves over the successor of the incumbent, Governor Roque Ezekwesili, a second-term governor who will no longer contest in 2023. Well, you know, politics is played season, in season, and out of season, and the gospel being preached now in Abia State is the social gospel of zoning. First, Kwalangwa, a group, one of the interest groups, is saying that we should return to the old Aba zone, old Bende zone method of zoning along the clans as enshrined in the Abia Charter of Equity. It was responded to by several interest groups like the Equity Legacy Initiative that came out and said, no, we've been using the gubernatorial districts in zoning and it should return to Abia North. In the midst of all this, Governor Roque Ezekwesili joined, but this time around in a disarming note, and he said, you should sheath all swords, and of course, because I'm still in power and I don't want distraction. I don't know what will be your reaction to this, Representative Benjamin Kalu.
Yeah, many people have argued that they don't believe in zoning, but I disagree with them because ours is not an advanced democracy. Ours is still at the starting stage. And so we use balancing formulas that will help us bring cohesion and loyalty to the state government. And one of the elements that increases cohesion is that, increase in the sense of belonging, sense of ownership that moves from one corner of the state to the next. And it will only be fair for the wheel that has started spinning to keep spinning. One, it brings a little bit of predictability in the political space, and based on that, there's a little bit of control. The political atmosphere will be better managed when it is obvious that this time it is going to the south. People should stay clear. Anybody who is coming up and say I'm going against the south knows deep down in his heart that he is going for what is not his, and that is the truth. I gave an interview. I can give it back to you when Okezie Ikpeazu was going for governorship, or when Ochendo was leaving, and it was about the time of the South, and I supported. I was one of those who supported that he should go to the South. What is good for the goose is also good for the gander. We started from the north.
You supported based on what? Is it based on equity? I
supported based on equity and fairness.
Oh, okay.
And what will help us bring balance in our polity, irrespective of political party. When I feel that you are holding this and you're going to give me this burden in the next 4 years, I will support you to be successful, so that you hand over to me. And then when I'm holding you support me, knowing that it's going to be your turn tomorrow. So it helps to manage the political space. For Dr. Ojekalu to move it to Central, even when the president of the Federation then, President Obasanjo, asked him to give it to one of his brothers. He said no, and move it to the Central, to Dr. T.O.J. It means a respect, a commencement of this rotation. Because if it remained in the Abia North there, this rotation, nobody should, talk about it today. Dr. Ojekalu commenced it. And Senator T.O.J., the former governor, sustained it. Ojekalu commenced it, T.O.J. sustained it. Are you saying that T.O.J. made a mistake by sustaining it and moving it to the next? To disregard and to not value the baton that has passed so far to the Ukwangwa is to begin to fight Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu now, 2 years into his last tenure. His own brothers, his own kinsmen are coming with this kind of distraction. It is very distracting, because the hand of the clock goes anti-clockwise. And it rotates round and round and round. And the hand of the clock goes round and round. To now want to reverse it in the middle of the game is to cause obstruction. They should allow the man focus in his effort to deliver dividends of democracy. Those people who are agitating for governorship now, use that time and give him ideas that will help his government to succeed. Use that time. You have a representative in his cabinet. That's the truth. There is no local government that doesn't have somebody working in this government, either as a civil servant or as a member of his cabinet, in one form or the other. Why don't you gather and put your opinion together that will help the man succeed? Then begin to talk about 2023 now that he's focusing to write his name in gold. I think it's a disservice to Abians. I think it's a distraction to their own brother for the Ukwangwas to begin to say what have been spinning round should be reversed. I don't buy into that. My position remains that the senatorial zone districts, you said gubernatorial zone, it's not gubernatorial zone.
Sorry,
it is
senatorial. That was a slip of tongue.
Yes, and we have 3 senatorial districts in Abia. It has gone from Abia North to Abia Central, and it is now in Abia South. It cannot remain in Abia South. It had to go to Abia North, and then from there to Central again, and then from there to Abia South. This is my position, and I'm a man who wants to be remembered for saying things the way it is. I don't want to join the crowd. For me, it should return back to Abia North. To do any less is a disservice to the rotation that we have put in place, to the equity that we have all agreed to work with, and it will cause a very big problem in the state, and we don't want that.
All right. Let me still stay on that issue before we move to the project now. The argument is based on the Abia Charter of Equity, and they are saying that the founding fathers of Abia State said Abia is divided along Old Aba and Old Bende zones. And if we look at that, Old Bende zone has been favored in terms of the governorship seat for a long time, even as long as, if we take a look at that, if we look at the administration of the former governor, Orji Uzor Kalu, down to former governor Theodore Orji, it's still along old Bender zone, and this is a disservice, according to them anyways, a disservice to the old Aba zone. And some of this argument, I don't know what you make of that, Representative Benjamin Kalu.
The argument doesn't hold water, because old Aba zone is not recognized in the Constitution, neither is old Bender zone is recognized in the Constitution. Things must be shared based on recognized, provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You now go to a local government and you begin to tell the local government that, when we created this local government, it was because you people are this and you people are that, and today we have, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. We recognize the provisions of the Constitution that we have 3 senatorial districts. And it is a formula that is working. Why do we want to go into what is not working? So you want to tell me that when Dr. Chikalo supported that governorship should go to the central, it was he was respecting old Bender zone. No, he's still alive. Go and ask him. He moved it to the central because it was the next senatorial district. Go and ask Dr. Theodore, he's still alive. The reason behind his support for the movement of the governorship from governorship position from Abia Central to Abia South. These people are alive. These leaders are alive. It was because of the senatorial district. So where are they importing this from? I mean, people should stop, throwing up some things that reflects greediness. Abia South has gotten a share. Abia South has gotten a share to govern the people of Abia State. Abia Central has gotten a share to govern the people of Abia State. The same with Abia North. But the oldest among all was Abia North. So if you are sharing, he should take again first. Central should take again, and then it goes back to the north, to the south. To change the equation now is to call for trouble. And I don't think that's what we need in Abia State. Let's follow the senatorial district recognized by the Constitution. Let's follow the agenda of these our leaders who are still alive, whether they are in PDP or they are in APC. These are leaders. These are leaders who laid this foundation. One thing is to write theory somewhere in a piece of document. Another one is to implement it. So the implementation strategy that these leaders use, go and seek their opinion, what they had in mind. Orji Kalu had in mind that he should go to the next senatorial district. And I work with 2 of them, and 2 of them are still my leaders. Even though Orji is in senatorial, is in PDP, and Orji Kalu is in, the 3 governors are my friends. You can't see me insulting Orji Kalu, insulting Orji, or insulting OPT. I don't do that. So that tomorrow, if I'm governor and I finish serving, I don't want anybody that people I groom to insult me. So I want to tell you they are alive, and I know their position on this issue. Go and meet Senator T.A. Orji, ask him what informed you are sustaining the baton that was handed over to you. And he will tell you senatorial district. You go and ask Dr. Orji Kalu, he's alive. What informed your movement of this baton and support for you to go to central senatorial district? Somebody sitting somewhere should not import something that is unknown to us. We have been in this politics for a while. I might be young, but I've spent about 20 years in this politics, and I'm not a newcomer in the politics of Abia State. So we should follow what has worked for us in this recent time and sustain it. Anything outside that is to ask Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu to do the impossible, and that would be unfair to him.
All right.
That would be very unfair.
Let's move
for
on.
his people to demand him. No, excuse me. For his people to demand him to do the impossible, it's unfair to him. So that tomorrow they will say he was the one who could not hand it back to Ngwa people. It's unfair. It's an unreasonable call to make your brother who benefited, who among the Ngwa people made Okezie Ikpeazu governor. Let's be frank. Who in that Okwangwa made Okezie Ikpeazu governor? That is the truth. That is the truth. Let's face the fact. Why are they now expecting him to do the impossible by reversing the formula that he benefited from
I know him, he will not do it. He's an honorable man. I know him, he has integrity. He may not speak much, but he's intelligent enough to know that which brought him there, he is bound by the law of nature to sustain it.
Okay,
we are watching him.
Let's move on now. Talk about your representation. Of course, some of the dividends of democracy expected to be enjoyed by your people. Of course, the good people that you're representing at the National Assembly, the House of Representatives. Bearing in mind that the rains are here. Just this morning, we had light showers in Umuahia, the capital of Abia State. Can you bring us up to speed? I hope the rains will not disturb some of those ongoing projects.
Rain is a good thing, and that was why we started working early enough. We took some people, of people can use part of the road we have fixed, which during this rainy season, which was not possible before now. And Bende people can now go to Maya freely within this rainy period than it was before now. And I want to use this opportunity to assure Bende people that we are working again to make sure from the Oneya Bridge to Ajata, that the bad spots will be attended to very soon. I know some people are always in the front of claiming the work that we are doing, but the fact speaks for itself. I had some people from Ohio went to go and meet with former Governor Fashola, the Minister of Works, recently.
Okay.
SAN, is it a Chew or somebody, gathered some people and they went to meet the former governor of Lagos State, the Minister Fashola. Go and ask him go and ask those who attended what Fashola said about the road that I attracted. That is what 12 billion running from there down. You go and ask the Speaker. You go and ask the appropriation chairman of House of Rep how we work hard to put that road. It's 12 billion. It's one of the biggest projects in Abia State from federal government. And he mentioned my name. He told them severally how we work together. Go and ask Dr. Uchoga. He will tell you how he also helped to defend the debate when it appeared before the FEC, FEC, about that 12 billion naira road. But I had a lot of people, claiming that road. That is not important. We are about doing from Onenyang now to Ajata. Very soon they will start claiming it. Okay. And let me tell the people, we are working hard to ensure that if it is possible, which I know by the grace of God is going to be possible, in no distance time, at least every ward will have 1 kilometer road. 1 kilometer road from my office. What have been eaten before now, what have been shared before now, I am emptying up. I'd rather be poor and not, I'd rather not be rich and not do project than I better be poor and do project than be rich and not do project for my people. I rather don't have money in my pocket, but let my people who have suffered for so many years have something that they can feel that democracy is good. And we are working towards that. We have a project that we are pushing on, and by the grace of God, almost every ward, if we succeed, every ward will have at least 1 kilometer road. Now going forward, by this week, hopefully, or by next week, it will be going back to FEC for the final approval for the Umimenyimpa projects that I have announced severally. It has gone through procurement. It is now back to Federal Executive Council for them to give the final approval, which will cover 5 communities in that axis, and which will take about 11 kilometer road around that axis, which is going to cost over 1 billion naira. Right. This is going to be made possible very, very soon. I want to leave some time for people to call in.
Very important.
The solar mini grid, they have fenced the place. They have started installation, and we are working with them to make sure that it's a hitch-free thing for them to do. Immigration office is almost nearing completion. Let's stop there and hear from people. The borehole, they had problem in Ozitem and Allied. They are still working on it, and I'm sure they are going to crack it one of these days.
All right, great. An exclusive this morning. Every ward will have 1 kilometer road in Bende Federal.
And I want to assure, please, yeah, before you go, and I want to mention, Okporeni people, watch out. Your road is going to start in no distance time. That road from Onenya to Okporeni, watch out. In no distant time, it has gotten part of the funding Next part of the funding will be dropping any moment from now. The contractors will be on site to be able to do the work.
All
Let's
right.
be expectant.
The lines are very much
serve.
open now. 0808 182 6949 or 0811 605 2949. You can also drop messages on 0906 510 8289. It is Ben KALU'S mandate, and it is time. You have to be very brief if you're calling, and of course, straight to the point. Very important to allow others. Glad to have you join us. What's your name?
Good morning. I'm Ikechukwu from Isialangwa South.
You're welcome, Ikechukwu.
Good morning, Honorable Benjamin Carlo, the People's Lawmaker.
Yes, go on, Ikechukwu.
Yeah. Ada is looking for a vibrant and workaholic young person like you, Honorable. And I want to ask you, if the use of Ada supports you, will you come out for governorship of Ada State? I heard you worked with distinguished Senator Joseph Carlo in LUG level, and you also worked with TAOJ in state level, and you are working with the present governor in federal level. My question is, if given the opportunity or if the youth of Ada supports you, will you come out for governorship? Because we need vibrant and workaholic young men like you.
All right.
In our
Thank you for your question. I hope you will respond to that. Did you get that?
Yes, I got that.
Okay, great. Let's get more reactions on the phone line, sir. Glad to have you join us. You're welcome to Ben KALU'S mandate.
Yeah, good morning, Michael.
You're welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Honorable Benjamin Carlo.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, it's Alvan. I'm calling you from Bender.
Go on, Alvan.
Yeah, I must commend the Honorable Benjamin Carlo. He's really doing a good work. His representation, the impact of his representation is being said. Honorable, we launched NDDC that back in Abia State to continue with their forensic audit of the abandoned project. I know some time ago you led the team, including the, would I call it former DG, to visit some of the abandoned road projects. So I know that maybe because of one of the outcome of the visit is they came back on site to continue with the erosion site in Bender. But there are other abandoned projects. So what is the effort to ensure that the NDDC, finish some of the abandoned projects in Bender? And I'm happy this morning to hear that Okburen Road work will soon commence on that. And that road is part of the project they abandoned. So I hope what are you doing to ensure that some of these projects NDDC abandoned, they will come back?
All right. Thank you very much, Alvan. Let's get other reactions. Good morning. You're welcome to Ben KALU'S mandate.
Good morning.
Yes, quickly.
Ikechukwu calling from Umahia.
All right.
I want to ask the Honorable to tell Nigerian what is total budget of National Assembly as regard to rehabilitating National Assembly annually, because I know 2010 it was 120 billion, but now it might have increased. And secondly, this federal road that is I saw in Omaya here, state capital, that is Ikose Road going to Mudike. That road is in a bad shape and in the state capital.
All right.
And they have honorable members and the senators.
All right, Ikechukwu, we got the two questions. Let's take this, then he's going to respond to those questions. Yes, what's your name?
Good morning.
You're welcome.
I come from Bender.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Our road local na the road too bad. Hello?
Yes, we are again. Take your question again, please.
Honorable. Our road all too bad.
All right. He got that. So I would like you to respond to those questions before we wrap up the program today.
Okay, let's start from the last one. Thank you for calling my brother from Bender. We have measured that road. We are going to also start work on that Ndiokoruku road. We may not get to the end. We might stop at the point immediately after Amogu, so that the second batch will start from there down. We have also captured there is a bypass. When they did Bende redesign, there's a bypass from Abamuzo pushing out to the back of Amogu to Ndiokoruku road, and then joining Etitulo Road. There's a new road coming up there. I'm working with the minister on that road. So the rest assured we'll get that done. Ikechuku from Umaya asked something about the budget, about renovation. The budget about renovation, which does not belong to National Assembly, belongs to FCDA. It's 37 billion, but out of that, only 9 billion was approved for the first phase. They are going through procurement process, like I mentioned before. A cause for concern, I'm sure. I saw that the federal government is doing something about it, but I have to investigate and maybe feed you back in our next engagement. Now, the very relevant contribution from Avan. Avan is always pushing relevant questions. Is about NDDC and the abandoned project. Yes. I saw the abandoned project, and I saw the amount of money that had been released by the federal government through the NDDC to some of these contractors, and I got offended. So I was the first to drag the MD of the NDDC to Bende federal constituency to look at things firsthand. And from there, we went to Aba and other places in Abia State. From there, she went to Imo State. But I actually started the idea that we have to look at this abandoned project, see what we do about them. And in Bende, I saw there's a huge improvement from what it was before our visit, and after our visit, what has happened to that project. I know there are still other projects that need to be looked at, and now that you mention it, I'm a member of that committee, as you know, the constituencies in the Niger Delta zone, to sit for ourselves and then mandation to do something about it, rather than starting new ones all the time. Let us see how we can finish the old ones that we have. You know, the problem with our government is like somebody starts something, another person comes, speaks a new thing. He doesn't want to sustain what had been done before. Like whoever is going to come as governor tomorrow in other states should be able to sustain what Governor Igbazo has laid as foundation and take it up from there. The same thing goes for whoever will become president. Start from what was left and push forward. That shows that you have a plan for the state, you have a plan for the local government, you have a plan for the region, the Niger Delta region. Now, the next question has to do with somebody who called from Okwangwa. I think he said Ngwa South. And he's saying he's a youth, that if the youth ask me to come and be governor, well, it's not yet time. 2023 is far. The mandate I have now is not the mandate to be a governor. The mandate I have now is a mandate to be a House of Rep member. And I'm trying to do my best in this position.